Leadership family.
Hey.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Restoring the Breach. I'm your host, Greg.
And I'm Cachet,
where we specialize in unlocking the leader inside of you. Man, this is season 3.
Season 3.
The kickoff. It is so exciting to be back with you guys from that beautiful summer break. We've had just a very adventurous summer.
We did a lot of different things this summer.
We talk about being intentional, and we did that, man. A lot of trips with the babies. Some new leadership / ministry endeavors.
Yeah.
We led a small group with Transformation Church. That was exciting.
That was awesome.
Met some awesome people, man.
Probably one of my favorite parts of the summer. We
Yeah.
took another couples trip. Woo!
Yep.
We needed that.
Yeah, it was refreshing. So it's exciting. And, and one of the things that we're excited about is even our YouTube launch. So those of you that are viewing, this will be a regular piece of what we do.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. We're just another way for us to invite you into our conversation.
Greg was a special guest on a podcast as well this summer.
Yeah. It was actually a brother that I met through our training for the facilitating the small groups. Brian Elliott, man, he's an awesome guy out of New York, man, and he's speaking life into men. That's a mission that he has. And so it was an honor.
Kindred spirits.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was an honor to be invited to it. And so I'm looking forward to what God's going to continue to do with him. Shout out to UB. And hopefully down the line we can invite him on. That would be dope.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. But we got some juicy conversation, man, that we're going to be getting into throughout this.
Is it juicy or is it funny? Are we talking about today or just the season?
I think this whole season we got some juicy stuff, funny stuff.
Yeah. Some real things.
We focus on trying to tear down stigmas, the religious things that really kind of stifle, what
culture too.
Yeah.
Culture
that really stifle you being able to hear from God.
Yeah, for your relationship.
For yourself.
For yourself, for your relationship, for your parenting, whatever,
Yeah. So, and so we're making it very practical. And what better way to kick it off than a very hot topic that we have seen in a lot of marriage discussions.
Single discussions. It's actually funny to me that this came back up because I saw it a few years ago. Then I seen it again. And then this year, it seemed like, I don't know, maybe because everybody's was in the house or something. They started asking questions about it. But it kind of came back around over and over again. And we thought that it would be a good way to start off our season 3. So what is that?
Do ladies have to make the plates at the gatherings for their
or just period? Because it was going into like, at home, who comes first? That was really
there's so many different there's a lot of spins from it, but the one we really want to talk about because we're going to do a short series within this season that really tackles gender roles. Yeah. So this particular conversation is focusing on, are the ladies responsible for making the plates for the guys?
And is it a lack of respect if she doesn't?
Oh man. So we're looking forward. I really want to hear some feedback from you guys too. Yeah. So you make sure you reach out to us. Yeah. On all the links, man. We'd love to hear from you, get some feedback, and even discuss it if we can on our future podcasts. But this is a hot topic, man.
Which is funny. It's still funny to me.
It is because as a married couple, we have this conversation a lot. We probably go against the mold of some of the traditionalists, the older generations. Because for us, we have 5 kids. Any of you guys that are around us for these last 2 seasons, we talk about our babies a lot. And there are just some situations where you have to be a realist, man. Yeah. There's no way I'm gonna let my wife carry five plates plus 2.
Oh no, that ain't even how it would be. Like it used to be when we were at church, that I'd have to get in line several times because you can't make, and this is before we had 5 kids. This is when we had maybe 2 or 3, you got to get in the line. You got to have 3, try to get all the kids' plates. let's hope that the plates ain't flimsy.
But they expect, well, depend on.
Then you got to get in the line again. Then you got to get in the line again. While the husband was sitting back, busting it up with the men being served. Did I already kind of give away what I was feeling about it?
Yeah, you did. But I can't. I led with it. I pretty much said, I understand that, in terms of a wife, I don't think that the wife has to be subservient. Yeah. Subservient. Use the right term. And the way in which many people might talk about it. Yeah. So the word submission is misused in so many ways. Yeah. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Mm-hmm. When we talk about this thing with the plates. Yeah. This is especially in the church, this is a running tradition. Yeah. That the ladies are the only ones that are hospitable. Yeah. They handle all hospitality. Yeah. They do the cooking. Yeah. They do the serving. Uh-huh. And the fellas are the ones to be served, the fellas and the children. Yeah. So maybe in some circumstances that fits, but when those life circumstances are a little different,
even if they're not,
in our situation, we got a lot of kids. Yeah.
But I just don't think that should be something that's like the only way that you're showing, respect towards your spouse mm-hmm. is if you're making his plate. Yeah. I think that the word respect is used wrong. Yeah. As far as how to, honor your husband, respect your husband. I feel like people take that and they use it to be like kind of an iron fist, if that's the best way I could say it, where yep. they take that so that they can be served. And I don't think there's anything wrong with serving one another, but I think it is very misused what respect actually is for a man. So let's get into that real quick. What does to you mm-hmm. as a man, mm-hmm. and he's a good man, what do you view as respect?
For me, respect is I make honor synonymous with respect mm-hmm. in many ways. And when you look at how someone honors somebody, mm-hmm. They hold them in this place where they're not above them. Mm-hmm. But I love you, and the place that you have in my life deserves attention. Okay. And so when I look at that, you're not I'll be very plain and practical mm-hmm. because I guess that's the best way to dive into it. I don't want to be philosophical or super spiritual, man. When it comes to respect, I like to know that my words mean something to you. Mm-hmm. That whenever I talk, you do have taken interest in what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If I'm sharing a passion or a desire, that is not put to the wayside, but that there is a vested interest in what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I like to know that what I do around here carries some weight. Yeah. And I do take my role as a man, leading our family in many ways, as an honor and a privilege. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any leader wants to feel like nobody's following them. Yeah. So that's a very big thing for me. Although even in my leading is always looking for your input and even sometimes passing the torch to let you lead in the areas that you're strong in.
Because the truth is, marriage is really, relationships are like partnership. They're partnership, especially marriage. It's a partnership. And so for us, when it comes to who makes the plate, you don't look at it like if I make you a plate, there's nothing wrong with that. But mm-hmm. you don't look at it like, oh, she don't respect me if she ain't making my plate. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that this comes from an old school tradition. Yeah. From, back in the day, you serve your husband, blah, blah, blah. But, I always say this when we're talking, like, some days when you come home from work, like, it's not that I don't think your day at work was rough. But it's unfair to treat it like my day at home was not equally as rough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say anything that upset him, and he gets to come home, sit back, throw his feet up. You know what I mean? While
that's something that you've heard other ladies say. Yeah. That they do everything that they can to make sure that there is no level of negativity presented to dad or husband when he comes home.
And I think that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
I do.
We talked about it. I think it is important because I do this for you. You know what I mean? I think that there is a level of importance of not bombarding somebody as soon as they come in the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't want to come in the door and immediately I'm approached with the decisions that need to be fixed at home right then. I like to be able to digress for a moment and then say, okay, let's tackle the stuff that's been happening. Because even when you go to the store, I make sure that we make sure everything's, and we're going to straighten up.
Yeah.
We like to make sure everything's clean just because you never know what you've dealt with out there. And when you come back, there's just certain things that you can see that could be refreshing if it was taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, so, but you hit it in the beginning for me with this conversation is culture.
Yeah.
It's really about the culture that's created. Mm-hmm. You know, the decision on how a couple or family handles that should be the decision that they decide on. Because I remember hearing a young lady who was Haitian say from her culture, and if you're from Haiti, please don't come at me sideways on this. I'm only taking her testimony. It could be inaccurate. But from where she came from, she said that she was taught to serve her husband. Mm-hmm. She was taught to make sure that he got his plate first. Mm-hmm. And that was a part of her culture. Yeah. It doesn't mean that that's the way that it has to be everywhere. You can travel all over the world and there are different cultures for different things. Yeah. Some cultures, the men walk in the back while the ladies walk ahead. Yeah. Or vice versa. Yeah. There's, part of my culture, the way I was raised to not let you walk near the curb. Yeah. Because if there's an emergency of some situation, even if a car drives by and splashes a puddle, I need to get hit first. Yeah. And that's just a part of the, being the gentleman that you want to be. But that's the culture that I was raised in. Yeah. I open doors. You know what I mean? Yeah. I try to make the grocery trips on one trip. Yeah. Yeah. I carry all the bags, even if you're with me. Yeah. But that's my culture. And I don't throw that principle that I have. Yes. On other men, like, man, this is what I do. You should be doing that.
Or this is what needs to happen. Period. Yeah. Yeah. I know people who do serve their husband first, then the kids. I know couples like us. We make the plates all together, and we we'll make all the plates together, and then I'll take your plate, you'll take my plate, and then we all sit down. Something that we talked about in our B group was that the purpose in which your marriage. The reason why God gave you this relationship, and something that God really was hitting on for me that I share with everybody was that, God customized us. Mm-hmm. He didn't design. There are some things that he does want the same. Like the rules are this. It's right in the word. This is what it is. But then there's the work out your own salvation part, mm-hmm. where I believe this is where God has customized what he wants from you and your family and your life and your children and your, individually together, what you're supposed to give your kids, what you're supposed to do for the world separate and together, and just all that different stuff. I believe that goes into the customizing of what works for your marriage. Mm-hmm. If I, there's things that I do that I feel like I try to do to honor you or to show you that I love you, respect you, that type of thing that somebody else might not do. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. But there was such a big argument on the internet about, like, I seen a post today that was like, if you, what did it say? Your husband shouldn't be cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, and something else if he got a wife. Like, and so I was like, so it's not his house now? These are not his kids, and this is not his laundry as well? Like, it's funny that it's yeah. It's funny. And the funny thing is, the people who I see sharing it, they be single a lot of the time. Yeah. So this is what they're going into it, believing. And to be honest, when you go into marriage at times, this is what your framework for what you think a good wife is. Just like the love languages and stuff like that. You go into it thinking one way, but then hopefully you learn and grow, mature, and see it's not really the way that you thought that it was.
A lot of the positions contradict each other. Mm-hmm. But then I think about, Ty Tribbett preached a sermon. He was either a sermon or he was just, kind of dropping some word at a concert that sticks with me. And, really attacking that cultural concept that a lot of machismo men have, where
machismo. What's machismo?
Machismo? Yeah. Machismo. That's what
okay. I didn't know the mo part. I only know machismo. Okay, now I know. Okay.
But this whole thing where a woman's responsible for cooking and cleaning and doing this and that. Now he took it back to, who did God give responsibility to first in the beginning? Adam was responsible for maintaining their home. Mm-hmm. Eden was their home. Yeah. And all the responsibilities, naming the animals, tilling the land, was given to Adam first.
Yeah, she wasn't there yet.
No. And then, but then it actually, it breaks it down where how Adam gave Eve instruction. Mm-hmm. He's the one that taught her. Mm. And so, let's bring that principle to modern day. As a man, shouldn't you know how to clean?
You should know.
Shouldn't you know how to cook? Mm-hmm. Should you know how to maintain your home? Because if you are leading in that way and there are standards that are being set, who's setting those standards?
And here's the thing, those are life skills. What if you don't get married till you're 45?
Yeah, you still got to.
You don't know how to clean and cook. That's silly.
That's real, man.
And my friend made a really good point. We hear men all the time, "You my queen, you my queen, you my queen," and she was like, well, the queen don't make no plates. Mm. And when you really look in the word at what the queen was doing, she had her own servants.
Yeah, that's heavy right there.
And when she said that, I was like, boom.
That's heavy right there.
So am I your queen or am I your servant?
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? But I think the biggest thing that people really need to understand when going into marriage, Christian marriage in particular, and I say it this way because sometimes the world seems like they get this more than we do. Mm-hmm. That your marriage is really a partnership. Yeah, it's not like she's lower than me, he's higher than me. It's not like that. It is like being in a job, and there's different positions for different things. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the person, the HNIC, whoever that is, they hire who best fits these roles. Yeah. So that means you have the skills to do this. Like, well, I don't want my wife doing for the finances. Well, I don't change no diapers, and I don't do what, are you going to go to your CEO and be like, I don't change no, I don't do this. It's like, well, that's part of the job description. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when you look at it in a partnership type of way, no one is really,
we're all serving each other.
No. What was the example that you gave about,
you about to dive into the next
session?
No,
am I?
Yes, you are. Yeah, I'm not going to touch that. Y'all got to tune in for the next session. I already know where you're going. It's my sports analogy.
Yes.
No, I can't give that away.
It's good. Y'all got to wait till the next one for that.
Tuned.
So anyway, but it's really like when you really start looking at it in the way of a partnership, when you're partners with somebody, you complement what you hope is the hope for a good partnership is that where I'm weak, you have the strength, right? And then vice versa. And then, if you are in a weakness in that time, then I'm able to pick up you know what I mean?
Well, Jesus gave the principle for us. He was master. My brother talked about this on a Facebook Live, and I'm going to snatch it from him because he worded it very prevalently. Mm. He was master. Yeah. And as a master, he washed feet. Mm. He set an example that if I am considered your master, but I serve, then what should you do? And in a marriage, I think that's a beautiful example of how we should be serving each other. Oh. Nobody is above reproach. Nobody is beyond serving. And there are moments where we all should be stepping up and serving each other. Mm-hmm. And that's the important part. The important piece is recognizing where each other's strengths are. Yeah. But also knowing, hey, what are the biblical standards that God has set for marriage? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. And then we're not violating each other. Yeah. And that's where you have conflict because, somebody has a strength and we're not tapping into it. You can use a really good example. You could have a woman who's skilled in finance and your home is struggling financially. Yeah. But you won't tap into her ability. You know what I mean?
A good example of this is Joyce Myers. I'm thinking about while you're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Even like tapping into the strengths. And I think this goes into seeking God and understanding, learning each other's purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she first was feeling like God was leading her to go and preach the gospel, it was a time when women were really not looked at as being able to go and preach, to the point where she was alienated from her church. She lost all her friends and all that stuff. So her and her husband decided to try to switch roles, because they told her, no, your husband's the one who's supposed to be teaching and preaching and stuff. It ain't supposed to be you.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, me and my husband switched roles and we were both miserable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it wasn't until we were like, you know what, this isn't what God said to us.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the customizing your relationship and your marriage comes in. You know, seeking God, getting to know each other, seeing strengths, seeing weaknesses. Like, I know that there's times when it's important for me to encourage you in certain areas, because I know that that's a place where it needs to be strength, you know, and vice versa. I think that it's just important as you're getting to know each other to understand the purpose for your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So if for me, for instance, you know, when me and Greg first got together, I was ironing his clothes and picking out his clothes, and I still do pack his clothes when we're going, and I buy all his clothes and all that stuff. But everybody doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Now, when you say buy, let's provide some clarification here. When she buys, she means she shops
here he
for
goes.
me.
I'm always picking out Greg's clothes.
We don't want any listeners thinking that she buys all my stuff.
Well, even if I did, here you go.
She does make the purchases.
Put the macho-ness down for a minute.
But you're right. You're right.
Machismo.
But Joyce's example is a really good one, because she makes it clear that he's still her spiritual head.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she's in a spiritual leadership role, she's not claiming to be the head of her household spiritually.
Yeah.
That's a very
key piece. I think that sometimes people look at that because she's the one in the front.
Yeah.
And they assume that means she's running stuff.
Yeah.
And I think for a man who's not mature, and a woman who's not mature, she may then feel like I'm running stuff, or he may be. For instance, we was talking about, this goes into our next week's session too. Like if she had a type of career where it made more money than him, where his pride and that type of stuff, it might make him feel like, well, I'm not providing for my home because this, and that might not necessarily be the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is, well, I mean, we'll touch it very, very lightly, because that is our next one. Mm-hmm. But that right there is a conversation that we had that made me a little uncomfortable in my seat when we started talking about, you know, the stay-at-home husbands.
We wasn't going here.
We're gonna go there. We'll dive into that one next week too.
We'll talk about it.
But today our focus really is attacking the gender role in terms of the.
Is it respectful or disrespectful not to make your husband's plate or not to make your husband's plate? And my answer for that is, it depends on your house.
The decision, it's not disrespectful for it to a husband and wife to decide what they want to decide.
That's
for their
what
household.
it is.
That's what it comes down to.
For me.
A lot of times people want to paint a picture of it's behavior modification, man. We talked about this, I think, the very first season. Behavior modification, where we like to control behavior. Mm-hmm. Now God already set standards in the Word of God to help us align our behavior with His principles. Yeah. But He still gives us room where He doesn't violate the free will. Yeah. Because Him giving us that, Him violating it would remove the relational piece that He has with us. Yeah. So He gives us the principles to operate in, with the wiggle room to develop practices that fit those principles. Mm-hmm. So in marriage, you know, if I'm the cook, then I'm the cook. Regardless. But that doesn't mean that the cooking is the sole responsibility of the woman.
Because you know what they say. Let me say this real quick. You know, a lot of the whole, if you don't make your husband's plate, somebody else will be making his plate. And me, you know, my friend and I talk about this all the time. And here's the thing. I know
where you're going with this.
If he's able to be taken because somebody made his plate, I don't want him anyway. You hear what I'm saying? I had something else extra, but I took it out.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be with but that's the point is it should be our choice.
Yeah.
In our home, it's not viewed as disrespectful if I don't make your plate, and, for others, sometimes you got to get to the root of why is it important that I make it? Like, let's say to the man, well, why won't you make my plate? I feel like blah, blah, blah. Then we need to get to the root of, if I'm saying, I don't think it's that important, and this is for any conflict or something in difficulty in marriage. There's times where you have to get to the root of why is it that it's so important that I make your plate for you?
Communication is key. Yep.
And being honest, and sometimes even taking somebody being real with you to be like, I feel like this is ego. Mm-hmm. It might suck to hear that, but what if it's true? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, why, again, aren't I more than making your plate? There's no other way I can make you feel special but making your, you know what I mean? Like,
it exposes the conditions in relationship. Now, if God is telling us that we are to love each other with agape love, unconditional love, then it means we're supposed to live without condition, love without condition. And so if my love for you is predicated on you doing things for me, then I'm setting conditions on the love.
Yeah.
And that right there exposes our heart.
Yeah.
That's the difficult conversation. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difficult piece for a lot of people to accept, because then it means that you'll accept behavior that you're not comfortable with. Mm-hmm. When in reality, you got to get over not having that behavior if you acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's not that important.
It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't. You know what I mean? And then
there's times where there is wiggle room to then say, well, you know what? Since this is so important to you, I will.
Yeah, because I like you ironing my clothes.
Oh, here he goes.
I do, but this is the mature approach. This is a practical example. I like her ironing my clothes. I even like it more when I see her pull my outfits out because of the thoughtfulness. She thought of me to pull it out. Am I asking her to be my slave? Am I demanding that she does these things for me all the time because I'm the man and she's the woman? Yeah. No, it's the thoughtfulness. And I know you ladies out there can relate to this because you want to feel thought about.
Yes.
This is this is an area that I have constantly and still working on in relationship to get better at, is doing things without being told. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so
I think that's a dude thing.
Yeah, it's a mature thing where
y'all are real.
From childhood, man, we do things for us.
Yeah.
Unless you come from a culture
where
you're taught to serve.
Yeah.
And so you see some kids that are just servants, man, because they're put in this environment where it's a healthy environment that teaches them and gives them examples of serving others. Mm-hmm. But in relationship, in order for it to be healthy and successful, we got to understand that to tackle this first piece with gender roles, it's about serving.
Yeah.
And we cannot attach specific behaviors to a gender. Mm-hmm. That's not what it's about. When God gives a husband the responsibility to lead his home, there are principles that he puts in place.
Oh, you're going into next week?
No.
Okay.
There are principles that he puts in place. And we're responsible for taking those principles and applying them to our household.
Yeah.
If I'm being a provider, this is right here. If I'm being a provider, we automatically attach that to being the higher breadwinner.
Yeah.
But if God has given me the responsibility to provide, I can provide in many ways.
Yeah.
I'm also responsible for making sure that there's vision for provision. So if my wife is making more and we have responsibilities, I still have to be the wise one to say, okay, how are we going to sit down and navigate this process? How can I steer this ship with the money that she's bringing in? It's still a level of responsibility in terms of providing, even though I'm not the one going out and making all the bread.
And even with that, I think that still goes into a partnership.
Yeah.
So let me clarify, ladies, he didn't mean the wise one, like you're dumb.
No, not at all.
But you have to be the visionary.
Yeah.
That's part of what a leader in any place does. Mm-hmm. They are the vision. They're supposed to be able to see.
Yeah.
And so that is what that what you were saying there, and so that makes sense. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't see things too.
No, not at all.
It's just
we're gonna get into that.
Okay,
we're coming to a close.
All right,
our time is running out. 30 minutes goes back quick.
It does.
Hey man, but we love you guys.
Yes, we do.
It's an honor to be able to serve you
and to be back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you know what we do. We're all about providing intentional leadership
for intentional living.
So take care.
God bless.
God bless.